in the Two Towers, remember the part where King Théoden they were being overwhelmed at Helm's Deep, and he was losing all his men, and they breached the wall, and they were coming in, all the orcs, and he said, what can men do? What can men do against such reckless hate? He was despairing, right?
Right.
Which is crazy given the amount of progress he had made in his arc. You know, he went from being like possessed, hopeless, despairing man. Yeah. And then Gandalf like exorcised him or something, and then he became like a king.
Alive.
He became actual king again. And then he acted more with virtue, and then he kind of came back to this despairing and like, what can I do against such reckless hate? And that's when Aragorn tells him, ride out with me, or something like that.
I don't remember the line.
And you can see the light in his eyes, and the beautiful music begins to play. And I just got that image with this painting, because that's what like pursuing virtue is. It's saying yes, and not giving up hope. Yeah.
You should probably explain the painting.
Yeah, that would be useful. So it's called The Choice of Hercules, and it's by Shaftesbury, which we talked about before.
I didn't realize. When we talked about that in Beauty, I didn't realize that was the
commissioned. He didn't paint it, but he commissioned it.
I got you.
Yeah. He was like...
I don't know anything about Shaftesbury or who he is, but
I don't know that much either. I know he was a very famous political figure and philosopher in the 17th century, but... So anyways, he commissioned this painting, and it's The Choice of Hercules, right? So it's like, I think it's based on an allegory by the same name, which takes place in like a forest that like a young Hercules kind of stumbles into. And it's kind of right when he's starting to get into adulthood, and he's approached by these two women. On one side you have virtue, and on the other you have vice, right? So
you figure out which one is which.
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-evident. But... right, the side of vice provides all the comforts and luxury and indulgence of this world, and then the side of of virtue is pointing up the mountain. Pointing up, to the mountain. And I think in the allegory she tells Hercules like this: if you follow me, your life is going to be hard and full of suffering and all these things, but you're going to be rewarded with, you know, eternal joy and fulfillment. And
that's beautiful. You thought about this with the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and actually, this is what led me to think of that. And
it was the opposite.
It was like it ties in. I'm not just being random. It actually ties into perfectly somehow.
No, I have a few ties to it, but you talk.
Okay, to the desiring of goodness, because I feel like art is something that kind of how do you say inspires that desire for goodness at different moments, because you kind of lose sight of it because of human weakness. And Aquinas, have you heard about the 4 wounds that Aquinas writes about? He says that because of the fall, of the fall, all men are have to deal with these 4 wounds.
Okay, no, I haven't heard of it.
And I forget exactly what one of them was: malice, then weakness, and ignorance. And the fourth one, what was the fourth one? Concupiscence.
You actually got all 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So those were the 4 wounds. So we get blinded. So we need to be reminded of that desire that we have for moral goodness. And so that's what this does. And it's like, it just made me think like all of that study on Aquinas in the jungle and all that, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
But art can really bring forth the reminder.
Art can bring forth that. And it's like, I lose sight of why... Like, yes, what is goodness? Let's understand what goodness is, but let's recall goodness, and why is goodness important? Why should we pursue goodness? And when I see that, it tells me all of those things with just like a King Théoden's yes. And
that's so cool. And I think it's so accessible, because we all intuitively, I mean, if we consume the right art, which is why it's so important to watch like the art that you consume, like we could like, even without us consenting to it, be like like engulfed in good virtues or bad ones, if you not virtues, in bad content and vices, without knowing what we're doing. So that's true. You don't even have to think much of it. It's just pointing towards virtue and goodness.
Yeah. And why should we keep on? Because the mountain looks really terrible. And
yeah, why does Frodo have to carry the ring up the mountain? That like goodness is so difficult. Like it's thankless and it's suffering, but it's redemptive suffering. It's Christ. Like it's the suffering like that leads to redemption. Oh, that's so
And
good.
it sucks too because we're climbing up the mountain, but we have these 4 wounds as well that kind of hold us back.
Oh, I am gonna
And-
bring up Spider-Man. I told you I might.
Okay.
The second Spider-Man, like that's literally all that movie is about. It's like, should I keep going and doing the good even though it's so hard and my personal life sucks and I can't keep a job and I can't keep on with my studies and I'm losing the girl I love because I'm just pursuing goodness. And like when he tries to let go of his responsibilities as Spider-Man and like avoids trying to do what he knows is good, he feels happy for a little bit, you know, but
That's when the dancing clip
no, that's the third
happens.
movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because
That's
no.
funny. I'm so
It's
ignorant
fine,
when
it's
it comes to Spider.
Anyways, no, but it just points to the fact that goodness is good, but it's not easy. Like it's not meant to to be easy. The third movie is also actually really good with goodness as well, especially when it comes to the black suit, the symbiote. It's the ring actually. It's the power that corrodes, corrupts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
both.
yeah, both. My word was good too.
Oh, sorry.
Anyways,
It's just corrupts is like the first one that comes to mind.
that's
That's
fine.
why
It's good.
it's good. I think my definition, if I can propose a definition
Please.
to goodness, is
Is it better than Aquinas'? give it to me anyways.
Goodness is that which makes you say yes.
That's so beautiful. Gosh, you outdid yourself. I don't have a definition for goodness outside of Aquinas'. It's really good. It's a good definition.
You look at the scene. It sounds weird when I say it out of context. The yes, but it was the moment where he had his arc was,
Yeah,
I guess, brought back. Yeah, the progress he had made.
yeah, like yes to goodness, even though it's difficult, and even though
he's gonna die. And what's interesting is
did he die?
No, but he didn't know Gandalf was coming. It was so beautiful, that whole scene, because Aragorn tells him. So Théoden, whenever Aragorn tells him, "Ride out with me," Théoden says, "What, for death and glory?" So he's still thinking about himself. He's like, "What good? What can I get out of it?" And Aragorn tells him, "For
Narnia."
No, for wow. Now all the Tolkien nerds are
I don't know. They're gonna come after
because I can't think of the name of his. It's not Gondor. It's like the.
Don't look
army.
at me.
the
I haven't read the
specific
books. I've only...
specific army that
Oh,
Théoden
okay.
is. Rohan, for Rohan. Everyone says for Rohan. And then you see the light in Théoden's eyes, and the music begins to play. And then Gimli says, the sun is rising, which is so beautiful symbolically. And we see that, and then we remember Gandalf's promise. And anyways, I'm just geeking out.
No, let's stay on Lord of the Rings because it points towards goodness in so many ways. But especially as I was saying in what Aquinas was saying that I was saying about I was saying that Aquinas was saying.
Okay.
About goodness being, evil not being a thing, but rather a corruption. I was gonna say corroded.
Or privation.
A privation of goodness. That's the ring, you know. It's disordered good, and Boromir wants it to defeat his enemies. You know, he wants it for a noble purpose.
Yeah.
Galadriel wants it to protect her loved ones. Like you could make your
rationalize.
Yes, you could rationalize everything. You could think whatever you're doing, whether it's like what something might be evil, you could rationalize everything for good, like what you think is good. Like you're still always seeking the good. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Boromir, you remind me of that point.
I remind you of Boromir.
Hey, I think that's a compliment.
That is a compliment. I really like Boromir. I think he's overly hated.
So people say people that hate on him are people that
stupid.
People that just watch the movie, apparently. Tolkien fans actually love Boromir.
I've heard the movie didn't do him justice. I'm only halfway through the first book, so I haven't really gotten to
because he's the most human. Aragorn's just perfect.
Yeah, I know.
But we can relate more to Boromir.
Yeah, I love those characters.
And the moment where he falls and he tries to take the ring from Frodo, props to him for lasting as many months as he did.
Not only that, but then kind of coming back afterwards. Well, at least the movie.
Well, that's the whole thing.
I know.
And then Aragorn tells him as he's dying, "You've kept your honor." He didn't say you regained your honor.
You've kept it.
You kept your honor.
All right, go get the camera. We have to be resetting the camera because we don't have a good recorder, but we'll buy one once. When we get the ad revenue. When we get sponsors. Anyways, this episode is brought to you by Hallow.
Stay prayed up.
Stay prayed up. What else on the Lord of the Rings? There's so much, but we don't. Frodo. I want to talk about Frodo. Because it's similar to Boromir falling. He falls at the end.
Yeah.
Frodo. He was so close and he didn't do it. And I think I like that because goodness, I mean, Christ and grace and mercy are still necessary for us to achieve goodness. You know, it was his mercy that saved Gollum, or it was his, what was the line? It was
it was mercy, his mercy whenever Bilbo was gonna kill Gollum.
But it was also Frodo that kept
kept him alive.
That kept him alive. And I mean, of course, inadvertently ended up helping him actually destroy the ring.
Fate and providence and just trusting, and that's what Aragorn, like, there were so many battles where it was hopeless and he's like, right out with me. It was at Helm's Deep. They were going to their death. And also the last battle. And it's like he's just doing the right thing and trusts that providence and God will make everything work out. It's like last video we talked about lying and why you shouldn't, even though you can have 1,000 reasons why. You can see why a lie would benefit something.
Yeah.
No, stay true to virtue and to doing the right thing. And even if it looks ridiculous, like going into battle with a hopeless cause, it's going to work out. Even if it's not maybe for you specifically. Maybe you die a brutal death. But maybe
it's all for the best.
Ultimately, yeah.
You have to trust. It's hard to believe when you're in that situation, in that position. But that's why we admire characters like him so much, because he knew and he admitted it and he acknowledged it and he went right in. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I really should read the books. People that have read the books would look at us talking about the movies with such like, y'all think you know what you're talking about?
Their eyes, a permanent eye to the back of their head and around multiple times.
You've gotten further along. I think you're halfway through the second book.
Yeah,
I'm like a quarter into the first one, but I like it. It's long.
Yeah, through the second book as of last year. I stopped last year, so
I started during Exodus because it was so easy. Well, it's not easy. It was just easier than now because I didn't have YouTube or Instagram. But as soon as I got back on my devices, like I stopped reading. I was reading. I like read 3 books during Exodus. In fact, I read 1984, the book that we talked about last time, because of Exodus. I didn't have anything.
Exodus 90.
Yeah.
So
we could talk about it later.
Well, I think something that reminds me, Exodus 90 reminds me of the whole thing of like with goodness and how hard it is naturally because of our wounds.
Yeah.
But the progress, how it can actually get easier up the mountain. The more you practice virtue.
And as much as I say cold showers never got easier, they did. Like being good, like you got in there faster. You know, it was easier for you to do the good. You could train yourself in virtue.
Mm-hmm. That's what virtue, I guess I didn't understand that for a long time, that I heard virtue is a good habit. And I would hear that over and over. And it's like, okay, well, when you actually become deliberate about trying to grow in virtue and practice it, you realize that, not like patting myself on the back or anything, but that it does get easier.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what it's for.
That's what freedom is. And we talked a little bit about that in the truth video. And I wish we had kept on it a little more, because I said something like freedom is the ability to say 2 + 2 = 4. Mm-hmm. And you said, wouldn't freedom be the ability to say 2 + 2 = 5? Mm-hmm. And then we came, well, yes, but true freedom would be, how should we phrase it? Because we didn't do a good job.
I think I've heard it said as freedom is the right to do...
the ability to do what's right.
The ability to do what is right according to right reason, or something like that.
Yeah, instead of doing what you want, which is what the modern world would say that freedom is. It's doing what you want. And I think a more traditional and the right way to look at freedom is the ability and the freedom to do what is right. Yeah. And that is what training in virtue allows you.
Yes.
So it does become easier. Yeah. You become more free as you train in virtue.
Yeah. I guess that's the typical Catholic view, is like you can be free, but you're a slave to your passions.
So you're not free.
Yeah.
Yeah, how free are you really? Yeah.
You're a slave.
I don't think that's very Catholic. I think that's very... I mean, I've heard non-Catholics talk about that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
really?
Yeah.